I can't let people know how broken I am or how like broken my household is, because that would freak people out. So I always just kind of felt like it was the normal thing to do. People do that, right? People keep secrets, so my life was a secret. I don't really remember much about my mom or a lot of my childhood. Home life wasn't great after my mom passed. When my dad got home, he was always stressed out and unhappy and blow up, and that would equate to getting hit. A lot of yelling, telling me about how he hopes I die, that I mean nothing to him. I was a pinball in a pinball machine and just getting beat on over and over, and this guy's racking up a high score. But like, sometimes I just want the game to be over. And my thoughts just became dark. About third or fourth grade, 9 or 10, and I was cleaning the dishes, and I remember looking at the knife and just kind of thinking like, what if I just ended all of this? That was just kind of a thought from then on, kind of lingering all through elementary and middle school. I never grew up in like a Christian household, and like I had heard about Christianity, but I was just kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that. Freshman year, when I went to Young Life, I felt a little weird at first because I didn't really know anybody besides the person who brought me. I remember my Young Life leader at the time, Brant, was like the first person I really met or like was friends with there. He was like so nice to me, and I remember thinking, he's a really great guy. I should probably keep hanging out with him. Like I wanted to be like Brant. Like Brant was like my role model. Like he was kind of like my father figure. But I remember going to that summer camp that year, and everything just felt right. And I remember thinking, I think I want to be a Christian. I think what Christianity is about and loving God. And I remember thinking, wow, like this is beautiful. I didn't have an easy sophomore year. My grandma passed that year, and she was basically my second mom. And then the abuse started up again. I didn't feel like I had much to live for again. I just got done getting yelled at by my dad, and I took my nail, grabbed it, and just started going up and down until I started bleeding. And I remember getting done hurting myself and looking at my wrist and thinking, what have I done and how did I get here? Who am I and why am I so broken? It's my senior year, and I'm getting like brunch with Steve McCarthy. Something had happened in my house probably a couple weeks before, and something in me just said, I have to tell Steve about this. So I decided that I was gonna start bawling and crying and telling Steve my story. I mean, somebody finally knew what was going on in my life, which was an amazing feeling. He told me if there's anything happened again, and that he was to be the first person I call, and I knew he was serious just by the look on his face. A month later, my dad was called me, and I couldn't pick up because I was on the field trip. So he started texting me, and he's texting me just a lot of vulgar, a lot of cussing, and a lot of like, when you get home, some things are gonna happen to you, beating-wise, like abuse-wise, and then I immediately texted Steve. I texted him, I'm so scared to go home right now. I don't know what to do. He said, don't worry, I'll pick you up when you're off your field trip. I remember just thinking, what are you doing? Like, because he might actually help you. And what happens if he helps you? What happens with your dad? And we're talking about what we need to do, and he's already been working through everything. And we decided to contact Brant Morgan, and he says I can stay with him for a little bit. The first morning was great because I didn't have to worry about my dad, because my dad didn't ask me to come home. We all sat down, and we had this like long conversation about this is what we're gonna do. I remember speaking in that circle, like, I have such awesome people in my life. These guys that were just willing to do anything to make sure I was safe. Steve, he got in contact with a couple of the committee members for Young Life, Danny and Jen. After I got moved in with Danny and Jen, and I got in this new room and just like, is this what a family looks like? I mean, like, I had kind of grown up like in this like broken household with no mom and an abusive dad, and I have this community that I haven't had before of people who are sticking their necks out for me time and time again to be there for me. And it's the same way that God is. What God had to say about me, what Jesus had to say about me, what I heard in Young Life and I heard in church later on, that I wasn't worthless anymore, that my life had meaning, that I wasn't this insignificant being, that everything about me was made on purpose and that nothing is an accident. The thing I'm most certain is that I want to be what my Young Life leaders gave to me, to be there for others and care for others and make sure somebody has that shoulder to lean on that maybe I didn't necessarily have growing up. I think God has given me the ability to do that. I don't think you can put a price on what Young Life's given me. Like, that's gonna impact me for the rest of my life.